In the world of data, there's this quiet but incredibly powerful revolution going on. And it's not happening in some flashy Silicon Valley headquarters. It's happening on the computers of researchers and data scientists all over the world. And it's all powered by a tool called R.
And look, this isn't some obscure underground thing. We're talking about something big enough that even way back in 2009, the New York Times was already on it, reporting on how data analysts were just captivated by what R could do. That was a huge sign that a real shift was happening.
So who's actually using this stuff? Well, we're talking about the absolute giants of tech, pharma, and finance. Companies like Google, Pfizer, Bank of America. You'd think a tool this powerful would cost a fortune, right? But here's the real kicker, the part that's so disruptive. It's 100% free.
So what is R exactly? Well, the official definition is it's an open-source programming language made for statistical computing and graphics. But the key thing to get here is that it was built by statisticians for statisticians. And because it's open source, it's not some static piece of software. It's more like a living, breathing ecosystem that's constantly being improved by this massive global community.
To really get the difference, think about it like this. Your traditional software like SPSS is like an automatic car. It's super reliable, easy to learn, you just point and click and it gets you where you need to go. R, on the other hand, R is like a high-performance manual sports car. It's got a steeper learning curve for sure. You've got to learn to work the clutch and shift the gears yourself. But once you master it, the power, the precision, and the control you have is just on another level.
All right, Section 1, R's powerful toolbox. Let's get under the hood. What can this thing actually do?
First off, R is kind of like a universal translator for data. It doesn't lock you into its own weird file type. It handles all the standard stuff like text and CSV files, no problem. But, and this is a huge deal, it can also directly read files from other big packages like SPSS and Stata. That makes switching over or just working with people who use other software so much easier.
And wow, this is where you really see just how much R can do. Of course, it handles all the basics, your linear models, your ANOVAs, but it goes so much deeper into these highly specialized, really cutting-edge fields. Whether you're doing complex modeling, psychometrics, text mining, or finance, there's a package for that in R. I mean, the source material noted over 2,000 packages were available back in 2009. You can only imagine how much that number has just exploded since then.
Okay, Section 2, the case for R. So we know it's powerful, we know it's versatile, but that doesn't really explain the revolution, does it? Let's break down the 4 huge advantages that are getting so many people to make the switch.
So, here are the 4 big pillars of the R revolution. It's open source and always on the cutting edge. It costs nothing, completely free. The graphics are just superior for publishing, and its power for running simulations is, well, it's pretty much unmatched. Let's dive into each one.
You see, the first 2 advantages are totally linked. Because R is open source, the brilliant people who are inventing the latest, greatest statistical methods can just share them immediately as a new R package. You don't have to wait around for some big company to push an update a year later. You get the latest and greatest stuff, like right away. And all of this power is available to literally everyone, from a student in their dorm room to a data scientist at Google, for free.
All right, next up, graphics. Because let's face it, doing the analysis is only half the battle, right? You have to be able to show people what you found. And this is an area where R just blows a lot of other software out of the water. It's built to make these high-quality, totally publication-ready charts and graphs that can explain complex ideas with real elegance.
And I'm not just talking about your basic pie charts here. We're talking about creating these really sophisticated, beautiful plots. Things like interactive 3D graphs, or these incredible 3D scatter plots with perfectly fitted regression planes laid right on top. It's a level of control that lets you tell a much richer story with your data. And the last big advantage? Monte Carlo simulations. Now that might sound complicated, but it's basically where you create a bunch of artificial data to test out your ideas and see how things work under different conditions. It's a super important part of modern research, and R is just a beast at it.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, the source paper brings up this one study where researchers used R to generate, get this, over 8.6 trillion individual data points in one simulation. I mean, that's just a staggering number. It completely changes what's even possible in research.
Okay, but let's get real for a second. R isn't some magic wand. It's an incredible tool for sure, but it's not the perfect solution for everybody, and it comes with its own set of challenges. So it's really important we talk about the limitations.
The source points to 4 main drawbacks, and the big one, the one everyone talks about, is the learning curve. It is steep. Then you have things like, well, dealing with missing data can be a real headache for newbies. The documentation, while there's a lot of it, isn't always super clear. And yeah, it can sometimes choke on massive data sets if you're just on a regular laptop.
And let's not sugarcoat it. That learning curve is the single biggest hurdle. I mean, you have to learn a programming language. You're not just pointing and clicking anymore, you're actually writing code. And for anyone used to something like SPSS, that's a huge mental shift that takes a real investment of time.
The memory thing is also a real-world problem. Basically, R tries to load your entire data set into your computer's short-term memory, the RAM. So if your data file is bigger than your computer's available RAM, you're going to have a bad time. Now, the good news is there are ways around this. You can get more powerful computers or use special packages built specifically for huge data.
All right, Section 4, the final verdict. So you've heard the amazing pros and the pretty serious cons. So, is R right for you? Well, it all boils down to one central trade-off.
And this is it right here. On one side, you get this incredible, cutting-edge power, amazing graphics, and top-tier simulation ability, and it costs you $0. But on the other side, you have to climb that steep learning curve and deal with some frustration along the way. The choice is really about what you need and how much time you're willing to invest.
But, the authors of our source material were super clear on this. Even with the challenges, they predicted that R's popularity was just going to keep growing and growing. And looking back now, from where we stand today, wow, were they right on the money?
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? The future of data is open, it's collaborative, it's built on tools just like R. This whole revolution is happening as we speak, so the only question left is, are you ready to join in?